Thank you for listening to Lone Star Community Radio. This program was broadcasted and recorded live from the LSCR studios in downtown Conroe, Texas. Lone Star Community Radio is supported by listeners like you. Donate and sponsor today. For more information on getting involved with Lone Star Community Radio, contact us at lscrstudios@gmail.com or visit us online at www.irlonestar.com.
The clip-on version of a real radio talk show. It's the Audience of One show on Conroe's 106.1 and 104.5 FM, streaming on irlonestar.com and available wherever you tend to get your podcasts from. On today's show, we discuss when track and field meets the UFC, a pest control nightmare, and how not to hide your girlfriend. I am Andrew, maestro of the run sheet, next to the guy who wonders if indecent exposure includes breasts. It's Dick. Can you decorate a merkin? Schisler.
What's up?
And the answer to that is a resounding yes. You can put all kinds of things on a merkin.
Yeah.
I looked it up.
Bedazzled.
Yeah, bedazzled merkin. I'm all into the merkin now. I purchased 3 of them. Can't get them on Amazon, though, sadly.
I wonder if you can really buy those.
Different colors, all kinds of things. Yeah, no, I didn't really do that, of course. Yeah. But I wanted to. And if you don't know what we're talking about...
Untapped market. Look it up.
Just listen to last week's show.
That's true.
Well, spring break is here locally, baby.
Oh, dude, I've been dealing with it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a great thing and it's a bad thing.
Yeah, well, for me personally, this is the first episode of the year that I have done in shorts. That's right. I'm freewheeling it today, baby. I am on fire. I come in here all dressed up in a overcoat, or well, not overcoat, but like a pull-up and jeans, and here I am in shorts and flops, baby, ready to go. Spring break, party on.
I'm in constant spring break mode.
Yeah, this is true.
I get comments about it all the time, and I'm like, well, what should I be wearing? And I it's not that I don't like wearing, like tucking my shirt in. It's just kind of like, I don't really want to.
I love that. A constant state of spring break. Yeah, is it Wednesday? No, it's Saturday. I don't know. It's all the same.
Yeah.
Well, are you enjoying Lent?
I have no idea.
So I take that. I don't know if spring break. I don't know if it's Lent. I just figured you were very.
Well, that is one of my favorite things about Lent, and when people get the Ash Wednesday, because you go to the grocery store or something and you see people with their ashes on their head. I'm like, oh, it must be that time of the year, and then you're like, cool.
Yep. Well, I'm reminded of it because I'm seeing a lot more fish sandwiches at fast food restaurants now. You'll see them advertised, and I'm like, oh yeah,
really?
Must be that time of year. Yeah, the Filet-O-Fish or whatever's making this big comeback. Have you ever had the fish sandwich at a fast food restaurant before? Man, I want to say I have, but it's certainly not something I get on the regular. Seems kind of weird because they always put cheese on it, and I don't think that cheese goes on a fish outside of fast food, to be honest with you. I think that's the only place I've ever seen a piece of folded square cheese.
Really?
I mean, have you? Have you ever, when you're cooking fish, doing a nice tilapia fillet, have you ever decided, you know what would make this great? A piece of...
oh, yeah, the McDonald's one has a piece of cheese.
That's what I'm saying. It's so weird. If I could just put a piece of square cheese on top here like I put on my hamburger. No, it only happens at fast food restaurants.
Yeah, but it is spring break, and you have kids, so I guess I love it when people have kids and it's spring break, and usually when you talk to the parents, they have no idea what's going on. They're like, my entire week is just...
It's completely different, although my children are older now, so it's a lot different.
They're self-sufficient.
Yes, they are, but when they were younger, you might as well just take the week off of work. It's terrible, man.
Yeah.
Take your vacation or whatever.
Well, I had the realization of it because... our bowling was canceled this week, and I was like, "Oh man, this is
great. I have a free night."
No, this is gonna be the longest I've been sober for like 5 days, but then I work nights there, and when I walk in, it is a madhouse.
Yeah, everyone's out of school,
and I'm like, "Oh, it's right, it's spring break," and go to your local bowling alley and don't mess with the front desk guy. Because
that'd be you.
That would be me, and I dealt with a lot of things. It was like because I usually do league nights. The league bowlers are my people. Open
Your
play,
peeps, huh?
Open play. It's hard to communicate sometimes.
You're not speaking the same language. Yeah.
You know, my favorite thing is, we live in Texas, South Texas,
That we do.
and there's a lot of Spanish-speaking people. So my favorite thing now,
Hola, Spanish-speaking
Yes.
Gwunsies.
and what I love now is when like these families come in and the interpreter is like a 6-year-old.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
That's always
absolutely.
my favorite.
Well, I've had the pleasure of being rear-ended by someone and had to communicate with their 8-year-old because the
Yeah.
person driving no speaky the English.
It is something. It makes me. It's funny is I don't judge it. I just wish I knew how to. It makes
Well,
me
it's
wish I knew.
it's an interesting situation for me specifically because I was having a very serious conversation about insurance, which they didn't have, rear-ending, who's at fault, with a child. He was literally like
that's what I'm
8 years
saying.
old.
Well, I was trying
and
to
I'm like, how
explain-
well are you interpreting this to your mom? I have no idea what you're
I was
saying
trying
right now.
to explain to the 6-year-old. I'm trying to save them money
Mm-hmm.
because they were trying to figure out what they wanted to do, and I was like, all right, because I can kind of tell when people come in. I'm like, this is the best price for them, and I was trying to save them like 50%. And then I realized after that long conversation, I should just
Charge them whatever
I-
and pocket the rest, man.
Yeah, I'll be like, I'll do whatever you want. Like, I'm not trying to explain how many games are, hours are. Like,
Just point to the sign. You guys don't have a sign of prices, do you?
it's on the desk.
Oh, no, you need to have a sign. Just point. Point and grunt.
Well, see, I don't.
I always find that grunting
I
always
like
helps
it,
while
I
you're
like,
pointing.
I like it in front of me. So
Yeah,
I can
you-
point.
yeah, you do.
I can point to it. Because if it's behind me,
Yeah.
they're just looking at me and looking at that, looking at me and looking at that. I'm like, now I got to put this piece of paper. I'm like, this is today. This is what I would do. But other than that, it was no one was too crazy. I always get afraid of the college people because they get drunk and it just.
Do college kids make you nervous, Dick?
No, I've dealt with a lot of them, and it's just kind of like they come in drunk and then they cause problems. But whatever. But other than that, it is spring break.
It is.
Oh, I got a question for you.
Yes.
And this is a question applied to anyone who drives. When the school zone's flashing during
But there's
spring
no
break,
school. We've talked about this before.
Yeah, and it hit me today because
Yep.
I kind of because my number one rule on the road is follow what people are doing.
Right.
And there was like half of us were going 60, and then like some people were slowing down. And I was like,
Yeah.
but it's such a small.
No,
distance.
we've talked about it before. I don't think we ever came up or arrived at an answer as to what you're supposed to do. But yeah, it's always one of those things where you're like, there's no school. It's the middle of spring break, or even in the summer sometimes, you'll see those things going off. I tend to abide by them because just with my luck, there'd be Mr. Popo out there going, well, no, it was flashing. And of course, when it's flashing, Dick, I believe all the tickets are doubled in price.
Oh yeah, that's what made me think about it. I was like, well, cops are going to pull you over regardless.
They're
Like,
just looking for a reason.
Yeah.
I made a note here. Oh, I know why. I was it's fast food because we were talking about fast food earlier. I was like, why do I have this note? I wrote it down right as I came into the studio because I may have gone through a fast food window on the way here. And I said, I realized that I made it to a certain point in life because I no longer worry about keeping the ketchup packets.
Really?
Yeah, because I ordered nuggets from the MCD, and there were extras because I can't really eat sauces in the car when you're driving. It's just too messy. So there was a bunch of them. And I remember there was a time in my life where I'd be like, don't throw those out. Those have value. Keep them for later. Ketchup, barbecue. Now, I just rolled that bag up and threw it in the trash with extra sauce in it.
I mean, I keep
That's
mine.
right. I've reached that income level, people.
Here I keep them, but at home I don't keep them. At the studio it makes sense because you never know when you.
I have
order.
arrived.
I guess.
Dude, that's a flex. I flexed on myself. If 30-year-old me could see 46-year-old me, he'd be like, wow, that guy throws away ketchup packets. What a baller.
What would be great is I've never encountered this, but say you're visiting a friend or a family member, and you're like, "Oh, do you have any ketchup?" they got like the sack.
Yeah.
like-
Or you open the glove box, it just comes spilling out. Look at that. Don't be jealous.
Yeah.
That's right. There's a Polynesian, and there's regular barbecue in there. Some spicy from Whataburger.
Yeah, pick it up.
That's right. I'm that guy. But I used to be that guy. I used to always keep ketchup
But you don't
packets.
serve them to people, do you?
No, I think it was just for home. And to be honest with you, I don't know how often I actually reused them. I would keep them for a little while. Maybe I would use them, but half the time they just get thrown out eventually.
Yeah.
I will say this. The Chick-fil-A sauce does not last very long if you hold on to it. We were holding on to Chick-fil-A sauces not too long ago and realized that after about a month, they're made to be used quickly.
All right, thanks for the hot tip.
Yeah, the hot tip.
there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hey,
you
this,
know-
oh.
I wanted to tell you another hot tip.
Hot tip. And now, hot tips with Dick.
Yeah.
Just the tip with Dick.
Yeah. No, actually, yesterday I woke up, and the beauty of technology,
So stupid.
I get a text or a notification that my tire's low on my phone when I wake up, and I'm like, that's weird. And when I get to my car, I start it, and it goes, "Hey, your driver's side back tire's low, like dangerously low." And I didn't see it, and I get out of the car, and I'm like, "Why is it doesn't look low?" And I see the nail.
If you can see the nail, that's a problem.
I was like, "Oh." So I filled it, and then I went to Discount Tire, and because it was local, and I had a buddy pick me up, and they text me, "Hey, you're done." And I go, "Wait, wouldn't they call me if I need to choose a tire?" Because I assumed
they just replaced it with what was there, I guess.
Well, they patched.
Oh, they patched it. Okay, good. Well, my assumption is if you could see it, it was sticking out of the sidewall, and they can't patch a tire.
It wasn't on the sidewall. It was like on the very
okay.
It was somewhere.
Because if it's on the sidewall, then you got to get a new tire.
But this is so great. Is the communication. That place is very efficient. But when I walked in, I was like, "Hey, I'm Dick. I'm here to pick up this little baby truck." And they're like, "Oh yeah, here you go. Here's your key."
Is that little truck with the big truck nuts?
Yeah.
Yep, that's me.
And he just gives me the key. And he's like, "Have a nice day." And I go, "Do I need to sign anything? Do I need to pay anything?" And
so what you're saying is you could have just gone in there and stolen a car.
I could have just been like, "All right, cool." And then he's like, "Oh no, it's your previous customer. Patching's free."
Oh, look at that.
And I was like, "Oh, okay."
Nice.
But then I'm walking out and I think, well, what happens if they didn't fix it right?
There's nothing of record. I'm sure it's in the computer somewhere.
Well, it's in the computer, but it's also something where, like, I'm going on a trip. So
yeah.
that's why I was like, oh.
Ooh.
Like, so I had to, like, monitor this.
So what was your tip? You said there was a big tip here. What was the tip?
Discount Tire does free patchwork.
All right. I was wondering.
I mean, I
didn't know if this was going to be a story about technology, because you started off with technology, and then you went to, I got a tip, so I was confused.
Well, I was just surprised that it was free. I was expecting to pay something. You always expect when you take it to a new place,
Sure.
especially with your car. Kind of like me, when I was like, "Oh, I got a new car, but a rat's nest. We can fix it, but you got to pay this extra fee of us blowing off leaves." And I was like, well,
they got to make a buck, man.
I know. I was
hey,
like,
it's Lent. You know what? Be gentle on them.
Whatever.
And speaking of technology, I don't think we are asking enough questions about technology. I think we're in a time in history where technology is just an integral part of our lives, but we don't even really question it anymore. And for instance...
Well, the basic would be telling time.
For instance, I'll go back to that. This isn't necessarily new technology, but it's new in the sense of the course of history of whatever, in the course of history. Bluetooth. I remember the first time I was like, wait, I don't need wires to connect my headphones, and it just magically shoots sound from my phone into my ears. Cool. And I didn't question it. How does that work? I think we need to start questioning some of this stuff. It's gotten to the point now where we just trust all of this.
My question with the Bluetooth is...
how is this sorcery working, man?
Well, I'm not worried about that. Is why can't I connect multiple devices to the single Bluetooth signal?
But wait till you can.
Well, that's when...
And then you know what? You're going to go, cool, can happen now. You're not going to question how. You're not going to question why.
Well,
I think we need to start questioning this crap.
I was trying to look for a wireless option for headphones for the studio.
Yes, that'd be great. So I'm not constantly
Yeah, and I was
this.
like, I wonder... And you can get... And the first thing I researched...
That was a visual.
Those silent discos.
That doesn't make sense.
You ever heard of a silent disco? Or a silent rave? You ever heard of those before? So what it is...
No, it sounds boring.
No, what it is, you go to a rave... And they give you headphones.
Like I always do.
They give you headphones. So you're hearing the music in your headphones, and you take them off, you can talk to people. Because they're not playing the music.
Oh, nice. And everybody can have it at the audio level that they so choose, rather than just being ridiculous.
And so I was looking those up.
That was my rave impersonation.
And they're very expensive. And I was like, well, I only need like 4 or 5. I don't need 250. So I was wondering what technology they use to do that.
Yeah. Do you know how noise-canceling headphones work, by the way?
Oh, here's another tip.
Oh, my God. Two tips.
For noise canceling. So I got those new iPods that noise cancel. Don't use those while cooking.
No, because something can be boiling over and you have no clue.
Well, not even that. Like, how hot's the pan for the oil? And you don't really know, because it's like, oh, it looks fine.
That's why I don't use noise canceling. I always have one in, one out, so that I know what's going on, man. But no, noise canceling, I think... It basically has a little computer chip in there that has the sound waves as it hits the computer chip, takes it, and reverses it. So whatever the wave is,
Yeah.
it reverses in the complete opposite, thus canceling it out.
It's great while you're mowing the yard or anything like that. But if people are dying, you're like,
So
I
weird,
can't
man.
hear it.
Again, technology. We just, I didn't question it. Okay, cool. I don't need wires anymore. Awesome.
But no,
such
you
idiots.
can't. Well, because what's amazing about these earphones is you can set it on when people talk to you, or if you talk, it like pulls down the volume.
It can recognize voices that you want to hear somehow.
Yeah, and
Again,
I realized
sorcery.
I hated it after 4 minutes because if I started like moving or I go, hey Freddie, my dog, it would just kill the music, and I'm like, that's annoying.
Yeah,
That's really annoying.
I can see that. Again, I don't use them because I'm against them. I really
Well,
am.
when you're cooking, don't turn it on because you have no idea what's beeping, what's like. And I was paying attention to everything. I was cooking, and I was like, I wonder, is this even like how hot is this? I'm like, oh, it's black.
You pay attention to what you're doing.
Yeah,
All right, man. You about ready to kick off this show?
yeah, I guess.
Awesome. On Friday, the Grant Parish Sheriff's Office in Louisiana said 2 Colorado men were arrested after attempting to use a cannon to sneak meth and tobacco into a federal prison.
You know they've done that before with like
This is awesome.
with drones and stuff, right?
Sneaking in with drones? Again, don't know how drones work. Don't question it. I just see a drone flying. I go, cool.
Yeah, there's been reports of people dropping.
I
in.
like this because they used a good old-fashioned cannon, a meth cannon. The sheriff's office said that an investigation led deputies to learn that suspects from Greeley plan to use a cannon propelled by compressed air to launch $112,000 worth of tobacco, good God, and $89,000 worth of meth into the prison. I just love this because if this
do
had
you
been a
imagine-
story of 2 guys just throwing stuff into a prison, wouldn't have cared, kept scrolling. But when I see they used a meth cannon, I'm like, now I'm interested.
Well, imagine how cool you'd be in prison with all the meth.
Well, that, and do you think these guys, I'd like to see the R&D on this. Do you think they went in their backyard and really calibrated this thing? Or did they just go out there one time and go, it'll work?
Yeah.
What'd they test it with?
trying.
Actual.
Well,
And do you think the first 2 kind of went woefully short and just boom, right there at their feet? Oh, man.
what alarms me about this
Wind
story
the rubber band up a little bit tighter.
is I've never done meth. But I imagine in a prison where you're constantly being monitored, you would be noticeable if you're tweaking out.
This is a good point.
So it's
Where everybody else is sober and you're the only one on
like
meth.
I can get like pills because you're
Yeah,
just,
you can.
You can just kind of like be existing. But if you're on meth, you're like moving around, and so I wonder how no one's paying attention to these prisoners smoking some meth, dude.
And can you imagine being the prisoner guard, too, and just seeing something catapulting over the fence? What is that?
Yeah,
I'm sorry. This is a visual to me that I just can't get enough of. These
I think
guys
it's great.
catapulting.
I think it's great.
It does sound very childish.
Like
'Cause
you're,
one of these.
you're hanging in the yard and you're like, "Hey Andrew, what time is it?" And you're like, "Oh, it's 5 past 3." Like, okay, step over to the left just a little bit. And you're like, "Why?" It's like, "Whoosh," and you just catch it. And you're like,
Or you're these 2 guys. You're sitting at home going, "What do you want to do today?" "I don't know." "What do you want to do?" "I don't know." "You want to build a meth cannon?" "Yeah."
no,
This is great.
no. What you're really missing is the conversation.
I guess it's a meth catapult. No, it's cannon.
It's
Okay.
it's the conversation between the prisoner and the outside guy.
Yeah, he probably had to have some help.
Because it's
right?
like, hey man, I need some meth. Figure out how to get it in. And then he sends the message, it's coming tomorrow. Be here. And then it's just like you're waiting around, and then thing just launches over.
It does kind of remind me of like the T-shirt cannon at the basketball games. You know, they shoot them up into the top row.
yeah. Well,
Those are always cool.
You got that woman getting nailed by a hot dog.
That's right, a hot dog cannon too.
You ever made a potato gun or anything
Oh
like that?
man, your meth hit me in the face, bro. Have I ever made a potato gun? No, but I have seen one,
Okay.
and they're dangerous.
Yeah, we made one in high school.
This was college.
And my
somebody had
favorite
one,
thing
I
about
think.
it was like
Maybe it was high school.
the creative process of making one. And then after like the 5th time you shoot something, it's kind of like you're at that point well, we want to go bigger.
Yeah, exactly.
But we know that's stupid because we're already doing something stupid.
This is how the atomic bomb came about.
And you're like, oh, well, what do you want to shoot? Let's shoot like 5 golf balls. And then at the same
Yeah,
time.
Oppenheimer started with a potato gun.
I believe it. But
And look
yeah.
what it's a gateway gun.
Yeah.
Awesome. A Virginia high school track and field runner who was seen previously violently smashing her baton into an opponent's head during a relay race has spoken out about the backlash she's received while claiming the incident was an accident. I don't know if you've seen this. There is some footage I want you to show the onesie inside of that article. It is wicked. This is of a girls' high school track and field event. Looks like it's a baton 4x400 meter relay. Two girls kind of get tussled up, and one of them just reaches over and smacks the ever-living crap out of the other one in the back of the head, causing a cracked skull and a concussion to the girl who received the whack. Now, I have done my Zapruder film research on this, watching this over and over and over again, and I have come to the conclusion that it's kind of inconclusive. It does appear as though she smacked the girl, but she said the baton got, on purpose that is, she said the baton got kind of caught behind her opponent's back, and then it just smacked her. But, man, it looks like an overhand swing to me, Dick.
Well, looking at it, the way I always determine these is posture and the first 5 seconds after the incident. Mm-hmm. And looking at the video, you also have to think about you're running full speed as fast as you can, and part of running full speed is moving your arms.
That is correct.
If you see right here, after she's hit, the runner stops, the assaulter stops, looks over, and stops running fast. So she probably didn't realize what she did, and she's like, oh, whoa, like, what just happened?
I just knocked that girl the F out.
I didn't mean to do that. If she did it on purpose, she would have kept running. Like, she'd be like, yeah, you're out.
Or if she didn't know she did it, she would have kept running. Because she was unaware.
Oh, no, the lady was right in front of her.
Okay. Maybe that's why she slowed down. Like I said, to me, it's inconclusive. I don't know how you're going to prove this. To me, it did look like she looked over at her right before she hit, like indicating, hey, I'm going to smack this girl. But it is apparently out of her character. She said, I would never do something like this. So I'm curious to know what comes about it. But I think this girl may have inadvertently created a new sport. Because I think this would make track and field a lot more interesting. And interesting. It's like the 4x400 meter baton fight. And you get to whack the crap out of your opponent.
But see,
the first one to cross the line wins.
No, that's what it's called, hurdles. And what you do is adjustable hurdles.
Yeah, they pop up right in the middle.
So you don't know how high to jump.
Oh, I caught my sack!
Yeah, that's dangerous. But, poor lady, I guess.
This says, she says, after a couple of times of hitting her, my baton got stuck behind her back like this, whatever that means. And it rolled up her back. I lost my balance. And when I pumped my arms again, she got hit. I know my intentions, and I would never hit someone on purpose. That is her name, Alia Everett, and her opponent there is Kayleen Tucker, who got the concussion. Well, I don't know, man. It looks pretty brutal, but I wouldn't mind going to a UFC track event. It'd be pretty awesome. Yeah. Oh, well. This is pretty gruesome, man, but we're going to try and add some audience of one humor to it in this next story. I think this is a story, Dick, you're going to absolutely love. After decapitating James Garcia, 51, at a Las Cruces Park, Joel, I can't say his name, Signs, 28, kicked his severed head at 14 different cars, an affidavit alleged. That's right. You had a 51-year-old man be decapitated by a 28-year-old who decided to use his head as a soccer ball.
Yeah.
Dude, that is brutal. But it's not bad enough that he decapitates the guy. And it's not bad enough that he decides to use it as a soccer ball. He has to kick it in traffic, too.
Again, that's another visual of the day. You're like, oh, it's spring break. That's crazy. Look at all these people at the park. Was that a head being kicked at a car?
Imagine, man. A New Mexico man who was decapitated, a 51-year-old victim, quote, played soccer with his head, has been found guilty of murder. They did find him guilty. Look at that. First-degree murder on Wednesday, March 5th. God, I don't know what would cause him. To me, it sounds a little crazy. I don't think that's the sign of a person of sound mind. What do you think, Dick? Playing soccer with a head? I know it's awfully creative. Sounds like something would be in a cheesy horror movie.
What it sounds like is someone shot meth into his backyard. He's like, what is this? Did it, and then went to go see his neighbor and just didn't like him.
What's interesting, it says he was homeless at the time, the man who committed the crime, carried out the horrific attack on his victim, stabbing Garcia 84 times. Seems excessive. With a small switchblade. It does not say whether or not he took the head off with that same switchblade, but my guess is yes. Or if you just stab 84 times enough, it just eventually just falls off. I don't know.
I don't really, I mean, That police report must be nuts.
It is pretty nuts. Again, the soccer is really the only
Is it really soccer? He's just kicking the head at cars.
What do you want to play? What do you want to call it then? Hacky sack?
Well, you kick a football.
Okay. Kickball?
Yeah, you just kick the head. Like, playing soccer to me means like
it's a team sport. Hey, man, you want to come over to my house?
He was in the field, like, dribbling with it, and he's just like, yeah, this is fun. But if he's just, like, going crazy.
Corner kick! Yeah, you're right. The term soccer is very childish. It is just more of him kicking a severed head around. But I guess soccer really does paint the picture.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, maybe he was playing an organized game. It doesn't go into that much detail.
Yeah.
Oh, get this. A Detroit man wounded himself after attempting to kill a cockroach with a shoe. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Well, the shoe contained a gun.
Why?
Yeah. So it said the incident occurred Tuesday morning. The unnamed 50-year-old man who uses a wheelchair, I'm not sure why they decided to add that, but maybe it's part of the story, told police that when he attempted to kill the cockroach by throwing a shoe that contained a gun, the revolver fell out of the shoe, the gun discharged, and struck the man in his foot. Can you talk about a series of catastrophic events there? Can you imagine? Dude in a wheelchair, limited mobility, sees a roach, leans over, has a shoe on the ground, I guess, that he keeps a pistol in, decides to throw the shoe. And you think you would feel the fact that it's heavy. And also, what kind of gun fits into a shoe? I mean, the opening on a shoe is kind of small. Maybe it was a big man. Maybe it was a revolver, so it had a longer. I don't know, because to me, it's kind of hard to fit a gun into a shoe. I don't know. I'm really thinking about this.
He called his roommate. Did you put the gun in the shoe again?
It says that Detroit police could not confirm whether the non-fatal shooting was caused by the cockroach. What are they trying to say? Or the cockroach pulled the trigger?
I've seen that X-Files episode.
No, it's just a series of catastrophic events there, though, man. Not sure that I would keep a shoe or a gun inside of a shoe, but if you're in a wheelchair, maybe you're not using the shoes as often. Yeah? You're right. Maybe he's a man of size. We haven't talked about squatters in a while, Dick.
There's always squatters.
I think
when
we need to review this.
So when I read this, and the way it was laid out was how they made a mess of the place.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what squatters don't do that? Is there ever like a squatter that is actually better than the homeowner?
I think in certain cases, yeah, there's people just living their normal lives. But in this case, squatters occupied a Melbourne home for nearly 4 years, creating safety concerns and an unsightly mess. Now, basically what this is these are squatters who are also hoarders. And they didn't throw away anything. And the trash just kept piling up in the yard, all the way out to the street.
Sounds like a frat house.
Right. And apparently the cops have been called several times about the trash, but not about them squatting. But I think the key here is the previous owner of the house was an elderly woman who has passed away.
Oh, so no one's really maintained. So they can't really find out legal ownership. And now these squatters have taken over. But it's one of these things, man. If you're going to squat, at least keep the place nice, right? Keep it clean. These people, we talk about it all the time. They overplay their hand. Mm-hmm. If you just play it cool, you got a good gig. No one probably would have cared if you were squatting there. The old lady certainly isn't complaining anymore. She dead. But no, we got to throw our McDonald's bag out there with the ketchup packets out in the front yard just to flex a little bit like, what are you going to do about it? Call the HOA. I don't even live here legally. What are you going to do? Yeah. They said the neighbors have said it's, quote, become honestly debilitating for, okay, all right. Says April O'Neil, who lives on the street. Why does that name sound interesting to you, Dick? April O'Neil. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Do you think that's her real name? Or they're like, ma'am, we need a quote. What is your name? She's like, April O'Neil.
I hope so.
This is my neighbor, Jack Nicholas.
Yeah. That's funny.
Oh, it is kind of funny. All right, man, it's a pretty good time to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the world's hairiest face right here on the Audience of One show.
Yeah, we're back. That's right. You're back with the Audience of One onesies. We're here every Friday, 10 a.m. we release the podcast. We're on YouTube, Lone Star Community Radio. If you have a neat article that you want us to talk about, audienceofoneshow@gmail.com, or message us at the station or wherever you can find Audience of One. And feel free to donate or sponsor today. And so we're back.
We're back.
I think we should do a show when we squat at a house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should do a show underwater.
No.
What could go wrong?
Yeah.
I suppose.
I don't want to be underwater. Like, I prefer to be above water. So.
It's kind of funny. Dick, so been a year since you went to South by Southwest. You just mentioned that you're going to go and visit again. Are you going to see the homeless lady who stole your beans last year? Are you going to revisit the scene of the crime?
Oh, she'll find me. I have that smell. And once the predator gets that taste.
I think about that story every now and again, man. How you're standing there eating. It wasn't even my beans. It wasn't beans. Was it some sort of Asian dish?
Food. Yeah.
She slaps it out of your hand, runs off with your quote beans like Gollum with the precious.
It was great. That's very memorable.
Man, I cannot believe it has been 1 year already.
Yeah.
And you've never eaten Asian food since. You've been so traumatized.
No, I've eaten Asian food since. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just joshing you, man. Just joshing you. Hey, did you hear that Donald Trump, yes, your president Donald Trump, wants to put Pete Rose into the Hall of Fame? Posthumously, of course, because Pete Rose dead. Didn't he die last year or maybe 2 years ago?
Yeah, it was recent.
Yeah, I think it's funny, though, that this is something that he attached his wagon to. He's the best player. He didn't bet on his own team. He should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean,
that it is kind of weird as a president. You can basically cut funding and aid to foreign countries, even start a war if you want. But putting a guy into the Hall of Fame is just out of reach.
Yeah.
He can't actually do that. So he's got to position for it a little bit and fight for it. This guy was great.
You know, speaking of baseball,
yep.
Did you see the new hats they rreleased for the teams?
The mashups.
The mashups.
Oh, I've seen them.
And
I want one badly.
The Rangers one, it says Tetas.
The Texas Rangers, whom I'm a fan of. If you're not familiar, MLB released a series of hats called mashups, and for every team across Major League Baseball. And what they did is they put basically the team's logo in the middle over the top of the city name or the city, the team name. And in the case of the Texas Rangers, where it says Texas, it also has a big T. Yeah, you show that to the onesie right across the front. So it says Titas. Which is Spanish, of course, for
breasts.
Boobies.
Is it really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Well, immediately MLB stopped. They removed the hat from the store, stopped selling them. But there were a few that actually got out before the stoppage, and they are going on eBay for upwards of $400, $500, and $600 a piece.
Yeah. When I saw that, I wanted to get you one, and I was like, I wonder. But yeah.
Well, don't the Astros, doesn't it say something like asshos?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they've screwed up a bunch of them.
Well, so the conspiracy theory was AI made them.
Well, it's very possible, but there still had to have been a human being you would think that okayed it, like the Los Angeles Angels, I believe, are the Anals.
Let's see.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. But those are still for sale. But for whatever reason, I guess because in the case of the Texas Rangers, it actually did spell out a bad word, so to speak. But hey, let me tell you what, I am a fan of the Titas.
Angels is anals and anals.
Anals.
And then the athletics is altastics.
Altastics.
So, but the Tetas one, I was like, that's great.
Yeah, it is great. I'm a big fan. Big fan. I wish I would have known about this maybe 2 days earlier than I would have gone online and gotten one. Oh, dang it. Maybe you could still get me one. They're only, like I said, $400 or $500.
Yeah, I saw them going for $1,000.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah.
Holy cow. Dick, you're a seasoning guy. You always talk about, seasonings. Love seasonings. You're a fan of stale cracker seasonings.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about, because you're always seasoning your meat, have you ever thought about the fact that we have to season our food at all is a weird thing? Because if you have to season your food, isn't that really just saying that the food doesn't taste very good? And the seasoning is what makes the food?
Well, I think it depends on what you're eating.
Man, this actually tastes like crap, but with all the seasoning on it.
Well, I mean,
it's kind of an odd thing that we even season food at all.
Like
if it's so great, why season it?
Certain beef tastes good by itself. Mm-hmm. But then there's like, if you want rat,
You got to put a lot of seasoning on it,
Put
huh?
some seasoning on it. It's a little tough.
I'm sure Stale Cracker's got some rat seasoning, though, doesn't he?
He's done a couple different things. I think I've seen him do iguana, and I'm like, that doesn't sound good at
No,
all.
it doesn't. But with the right seasoning,
It's great.
it's great. I don't know. I just think seasoning in general, this comes off the back of the story that I told last week about the water jug in the hotel lobby that had all the fruit in it that had no taste at all. And I was assuming it should taste a lot more like fruit, and I was very disappointed that it didn't. But then on the flip side of that, we season our food.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very odd practice.
It just
man.
depends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the right amount? What's the right amount?
Whatever you want. That's the beauty of it. You can, and especially seasonings aren't like lateral for everyone. You're lateral for everybody.
I don't know what you just said there.
Well, it's like I like Cajun stuff, so I use Cajun seasoning, spicy seasoning. But
Have you ever eaten a crawfish raw dogged? Like raw dog a crawfish, and you've never had any seasoning on it? I think you need
you
to do
mean
that.
cooked without anything?
Yes, just raw dog boil the crawfish. I wonder what that thing tastes like. Probably like ass. But yeah, you're, oh, man, it tastes so good. Really, you're just licking seasoning is all you're doing. So much salt.
I don't know why you're so judgmental on people what they do with their lives. It's like
No, it's not judgmental. I'm just making the point that crawfish
says
probably
the
tastes
guy
like
who
ass.
collects ketchup packets because he
Previously,
puts ketchup on everything. apparently.
previously, no, I don't. And when I say ketchup packet, I really was referring
Well, it's kind of like
to
those
condiments in general.
That's what I always
I'm
love.
not a big ketchup guy.
See the argument. You're making the wrong argument.
All right, tell me where my argument went awry.
So, to give you like a situation where you are allowed to criticize, is what I love is the fancy steakhouses and everything. If you put A1 sauce on it, it is a disgrace.
That's right. It's an insult.
It's an insult to the chef.
That's right.
But the chef clearly uses seasoning on the steak, like probably butter minimum.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like why can't I just, if you're already seasoning it?
Only certain seasonings are allowed.
Yeah.
It's kind of like why we only eat certain animals. We eat the ones that are less cute than the others.
No, I don't really know about that. We eat baby lamb.
They are pretty cute and delicious. Huh?
Yeah, it's nice.
When's the last time you ate lamb?
Oh, I would say like a month and a half ago.
Wow.
Got it from my nephew. He raised it and killed it.
Is this the guy with all the refrigerators?
One of them. Yeah, it's a dad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But no, he did the FAA thing and livestock, and I got a bunch of lamb chops. They were good.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I ate lamb. It's decent though. Probably like a was it Texas Day Brazil or something? That's probably the last.
See, I
time.
don't eat out, so I don't know what Texas Day Brazil.
Yeah, but you know what it is.
I imagine they sell lamb.
Yeah, it's one of those restaurants where you basically have a disc that they give you, and it's green on one side and red on the other, and you pay a flat fee of I don't know $70, and they just start bringing you food as long as your disc is green. But when you're full, you flip it over to red, and they stop coming by. And they'll come by with ribs, and they'll come by with a whole rack of lamb, and they'll
Is
just
it
kind of
good?
carve off stuff right there onto your plate. What do you think?
Maybe.
It's fantastic.
Okay, good.
It's fantastic.
But yeah, I'm a big fan of lamb.
Yeah, almost as good as the Outback Steakhouse, but not quite as much.
I've been there a couple times.
Yeah, I don't understand the Outback Steakhouse. Isn't it? It's Australian themed, right?
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything Australian about it, though. When you go in there, it just seems like a regular old steakhouse. I don't like. What's the deal? Why do they eat a lot of steak in Australia? I don't get it. I don't know. But yeah, no, Texas Day Brazil, good stuff, man. Good stuff. Just keep bringing me stuff like raise the flag at Ponchos. Yeah, keep it coming, baby.
So I'm looking it up because you got me curious.
About
what makes it Australian?
Yeah. What does make it Australian?
All
Is it the bloomin'
no,
onion?
It's nothing. It's just marketing.
Wait, does it actually say that on the website? This actually isn't
No,
Australian.
it
This is clearly marketing to the dumb
It was
American.
founded by a guy in Florida,
See, okay.
and they never visited Australia. They simply saw an opportunity to ride the wave of popularity of all things Australian following the 1986 film Crocodile Dundee.
No way. Are you serious?
Their concept was American food, Australian fun.
Because Australians have more fun, huh?
Oh, yeah.
So, okay, so it's not, yeah, because I was going to say, what is Australian food? A bloomin' onion? I don't know. Steak? It seems pretty American to me.
I don't know.
So it has nothing to do with Australia. It's been a while since I've gone in there. But,
Vegemite?
oh, yeah, they just smear it right on top.
Yeah.
It's a good seasoning. Yeah.
guess.
Seasoning right on top.
not very good.
No, it's not.
But no, but then again, that's the core of what America is.
Guess so.
Because you know what my favorite thing would be great is you know when you go to a Chinese restaurant and like for some reason you always expect everyone that serves there is Chinese.
I demand it, in fact. And in
But
fact, if a
when
white
you
guy
go
comes,
to-
I say, shoo, Timmy, shoo.
But then he starts speaking Mandarin. You're like, oh,
Man,
sorry
that's
about
legit.
That.
Sorry about that.
But you go to Outback, no one speaks Australian there.
Yeah, that's true. They don't even try.
Yeah, I would do that if I was.
What's Australian? You mean just with an accent?
That's what I
Oi,
would.
matey!
No, let's
Shrimp on a bobby.
Let's add that to another thing. If I had unlimited money, I'd pay you. I'd be like, hey, I need to get you. You need to get a job at Outback, and if you, as every day that you pretend to be Australian, the whole time you're being mic'd up and videotaped, I'll give you $1,000.
Deal. Oh, I'll do that. I'll do that right now for $50.
You'll have the worst accent. And
it'd be terrible.
And folks would be like, "Is this guy just pretending to be
like a character of
Australian?"
himself.
I think that would be
Now,
hilarious.
I do it for far less than $1,000. Actually, that sounds like fun.
What I need to do is get on that show, Practical Jokers. I feel like because I'll participate too, and I feel like I could come up with some good concepts. Some of that stuff is like, you watched it before, right?
Yeah, of course, I've seen it.
I think my favorite one I've seen, and is the one where like the punishment was he had to go to this feminist like TED Talk kind of thing. He's on a panel.
Oh yeah, and talk about and slam women basically.
Basically, they told
Well, they're
him it's like
secondary class
whatever they're
citizens.
saying, you have to argue it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
whatever the
Yeah, I
other
think you're
people on
talking
the panel are saying. See, that's a great idea. But yeah, Australia, I have Australia Outback. I like it.
It's just an American restaurant. Just an American restaurant.
Yeah.
Dick, when's the last time you went to a garage sale or had a garage sale?
That's a long time.
Man, I
ago.
love garage sales. I used to have them in my old neighborhood all the time, and sometimes they were sort of impromptu and just like, hey, start pulling stuff out on a Saturday afternoon and people start showing up. But it was a great way to get rid of your old crap. But the fancy neighborhood that I live in now does not allow them, and so stuff just piles up, man. We have stuff forever. But garage sales to me are an interesting
Let's
thing.
go squat.
Did you right?
Yeah.
It's interesting because it is something that you have to do and I guess swallow your pride a little bit. Think about it this way. You pull a table out with all your old crap on it that you don't want. You're telling everybody, I no longer want this.
Yeah. Well,
But you got to try and sell it as really good crap
because I
for
remember
someone
being
else.
younger when the neighborhood would have it. I'd walk over and see if they had any video games or anything.
Right,
like
yeah,
that.
of course.
So that was because
I love garage sales.
Yeah, and you can learn how to haggle. So that's always a nice tool to have. It's
true.
And I just came up with a possible solution for squatters.
Okay,
So
please do tell.
say someone's squatting in your house,
An AK.
right? Mm-hmm. And what you need to do is go with your neighbors and be like, "Hey, these guys aren't leaving. Just throw all your trash. Like I don't care. Throw your trash in the front yard,
Into their front yard.
into the like it's your house, but like I don't care. Just start throwing everything that you don't want there. And like I'll come by once a week. If you put it out in the front yard, I'll pay someone to pick up, the old stuff or like furniture, and then I'll pay them to start setting it like just like in front of the door. Just set it every week. There's a new thing of trash.
Sadly, though, these squatters, I think, have legal rights to be there. So they would probably turn around and countersue you and win.
No.
Yeah, they would. Sadly. Well, I don't know. I just think it's an interesting thing. I miss the garage sale. I like
I
standing
wonder how
out
that
front
works,
with all of my
because
crap.
You own it, so you're allowed to put stuff there, clearly. So I don't see why not.
I don't know, man. We'll investigate.
Yeah.
Audience of One Show will investigate. Dick, have you heard that Warner Brothers Home Entertainment is aware of potential issues affecting select DVD titles manufactured between the years 2006 and 2008? And the company has been actively working with consumers to replace defective discs, otherwise known as disc rot.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I know this is going to affect you because you're a big movie buff and your Rush Hour 3 and your night at the museum might be in peril here.
Yeah.
But apparently this is a thing that after a certain age, I guess the materials that these discs are made out of, probably got them cheap from China, flew over the Gulf of America, whatever, and they start to deteriorate and rot, and you're watching your movie there and it starts to gum up the works. Do you own any more DVDs, by the way?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I probably about 600 of them.
Yeah, I bet you some of them
I don't
are
have
going to be affected.
I don't have the cases anymore because apparently those are an eyesore when you're living with a significant other who doesn't like them.
Yeah, you don't put them in a tasteful DVD tower in the corner of the room. Remember when those were really popular?
It was more like a library. When you go in, I had this big shelf, and it was just alphabetical order. Everything was nice.
Alphabetical order.
Yeah.
That is the one part of your life that I think is probably in order, if I had
Not
to say.
anymore, though. I had to put them in sleeves, like a giant binders.
Oh, because you had to get rid of all the... Oh, that does kind of suck. Now, you do still have the papers with them, right? Like the covers? Or did you throw those away, too?
I threw them out. I was just like... It was one of those things when you're with somebody and you don't want to argue about it
The things
anymore.
you do for love or to shut that loved one up. Yeah.
And in my books, too. I thought that was really rude.
She didn't like your books?
No. And she's like, you've already read them. I'm like, yeah, that's why I like having them up, because I don't want to be one of those idiots that has like thousands of books and be like, oh, I've never read those.
I don't like you reading Catcher in the Rye for the 4th time.
But so I was like, I like when people come in, they see my book collection, I'm confident saying, hey, yeah, I've read that one. You've read that one? We can have a conversation about it. And you usually hear the argument about the records.
Records are cool, man.
No, that's what I love. Is she was like, that's the only thing I can see organizing, making it look nice, because that's like in.
Oh, yeah, I guess it is kind of a...
I laughed. I was like, so that's okay.
Because it looks cool.
Because
You know,
it looks cool.
large percentage of people who are buying records now don't even own record players. I think we talked about that. They're doing it just for the aesthetic, the art, having the disc. But they don't ever listen to it. They'll just go download. They'll just go, well, what's cool now, some artists will put in a free download of the digital version if you buy their record.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, so you got the record. You have the art piece. It's something you could tangible hold on to, but then you have the rights to download.
I just like listening to records.
It's
kind of like one of those Zen moments.
Yeah.
In my day, I'm like, all right, so I'm going to clean the house. Let's put a record on.
You and I have that in common.
But I would, like, if I was
I do the same thing.
If I was working on a computer, I just listen to whatever
Audience One show, right? Yeah.
But
I'm the same way. If I'm doing stuff around the house on a Saturday afternoon, Paul Simon is on, blaring a little bit.
I actually got lucky one time because I had a record player and records.
And by lucky, you mean?
I mean, like...
intercourse with a woman.
True story. True story.
Dang. We'll talk after the air. I'll have to get that record collection from you.
Well, it was one of those funny things. They always came over in college and like, you always are playing music. And I'm like, yeah, like,
I'm just saying, man, playing the odds. It worked this one time.
And then after like the 6th time she came over, she's like, what are we listening to? She like finally started paying attention to what music I listened to.
Barry White.
No, it was like Jackson Brown and stuff like that. And she's like, then she started going through
Marvin
all my stuff.
Gaye.
And she's like, you're an interesting guy. I'm like, yeah, I am.
So interesting.
I even brushed my teeth.
Jesus.
But yeah, collecting DVDs. One thing I started doing with my DVDs is I started ripping them. And so...
for the less technically advanced people, ripping means putting them onto digital form.
Yeah. And so I started doing that, and then I realized I only did it for the ones like I know I'm gonna watch. The other ones are like either GIFs or like I don't care about. If they're full screen versions, throw that shit stuff away.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nobody can watch full screens.
Yeah.
What
are we doing?
Speaking of what are we doing, a Chinese student sparked a fire in his dormitory after he tried to hide his inflatable girlfriend from his roommate by setting the blow-up doll on fire. So this is pretty funny. The incident occurred at the dormitory building of the Hefei University of Technology in a central province of China.
They have a picture of it.
Oh, yeah, they do. And it is the cheesiest, so lame-looking. It literally looks like something you would get at Party City. It's so bad. But apparently his roommate comes home, and I guess he was attempting...
I feel like the chest area was an afterthought.
It just looks... It looks like if a second grader were to design a doll. But I guess his roommate came home, quote, unexpectedly, earlier than he thought, and he was about to have a romantic moment with his said blow-up doll. And instead of just making something up, he decides to light it on fire and, of course, burns down the dormitory. But this guy, come on, man, you've got to be quicker on his feet. This guy could have gone a number of ways and been like, hey, man, we were trying to play a practical joke on you. We were going to blow this up, put it in your bed.
Maybe he was in mid-session.
Yeah, well, he could, mid-sesh. Doll sesh.
It's my therapy.
He could have said it was a gag gift for one of his other buddies, something. But no, he panics, and what's the first thing he does? Lights the bitch on fire. Like, what? Come on, dude.
Well, that's a solution to a lot of things. I like it.
Oh, but yeah, of course.
What would you do if you caught me with a blow-up doll?
Join in.
Yeah.
I'm trying to gross you out. No, first thing I would do is get out my phone and start recording.
Yeah.
Because that's most important.
So that's probably why that guy set it on fire, because he's like, I don't want to be...
Yeah. It does seem a little bit like someone who's maybe
Ashamed?
In the closet, so to speak, goes the opposite way to go out of his way to shame people who might be homosexual or something. This guy was probably like, "Oh, I'm so against this. I hate all these people with their dolls.
Or
Look at this," and he flames it, puts it on fire.
Maybe it's a new age one. Maybe he's been telling his friends he's gay, and then he didn't want to get caught with a lady doll.
This is true. You know what, though? You have a point here. I see where you're going, because this is the year 2025.
Yeah.
Anything goes, dude. Seriously. In fact, he could have turned it around on his roommate when his roommate comes home and he's still mid-pump on that doll. And roommate's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "You shaming me, bro? You doll shaming?" Psh, and then really turn it around on him.
I don't know.
What's your deal, man?
Well, it's kind of like people with those cuddle pillows. You ever seen those?
Cuddle puddles?
Cuddle pillows.
Cuddle pillows?
And like in Japan, that's a big deal. And it's even therapy. Like they even consider that an act of therapy if you have a cuddle pillow.
No, I guess I haven't seen it. I mean, technically,
You never seen these?
any pillow can be a cuddle pillow if you just
No, you'll
snuggle with it. Is it like the shape of a human?
Well, I mean, like the therapy ones are shaped like for your body to form around. But let's see if I can find one.
Yeah, please find one. And how much? Just out of curiosity. And a
Well,
QR
like
and a QR code if you have one.
Like a therapy thing is like $100 something, but
So they actually market some of these as therapeutic cuddle pillows.
then they have these. Let me show you this.
All right, onesies. What we're looking at here appears to be a doll. No, it's a pillow, normal pillow shape with a picture of, I guess, is that a lady of some sort? Ladies.
Yeah, like anime.
Anime. Oh, that's weird.
So
And they're probably like 4 foot long pillows, if I had to guess, right? They're kind of long and skinny so that you can.
you can get Sailor Moon, dog.
Oh yeah, I've already got that one.
I got this one right here. 'Cause she's putting her belly down. I can't believe these are real. Oh,
But anyways,
great.
this guy totally screwed up. He could have gone a number of different ways, including owning up to it.
I wonder how he started it. The fire.
Oh, I was gonna say, well,
Maybe it was full of
first
helium.
it started with a glass.
Maybe
of,
it was a helium
glass
doll.
of wine, and
You
then
ever think about that?
Some smooth talking. A helium doll.
Yeah, and he had candles everywhere, setting the mood, and then he accidentally set it on fire.
Yeah, maybe she was. If it was helium, she was.
Yeah, it's floating around.
She's floating around up at the top of the ceiling.
He's got one of those. I don't want to get too descriptive, but he likes the chase. He likes the chase.
Chasing her around.
But
That's all. That's the excitement. I love chasing it.
oh, that'd be so funny to walk in on that. I would have loved that. I wouldn't have recorded it. Those are the kind of memories you want to keep to yourself. The recording bit. Because if anything, if I caught you, I wouldn't record you. We would have a good laugh about it.
Yeah, but you'd always have that on me, though, man.
But I would never use it against you.
Yeah, but you could at any moment, and I'd be so afraid that we'd be out one day, and you'd be kind of.
You should never be embarrassed of your choices.
Hey, guess what? I could
You
tell
gotta
that
own
girl
'em.
you're talking to right now. But no, don't, dude, don't. No. I could.
Does she know
And then
about
I'm just,
Sophie?
Yeah. I could at any minute.
Yeah.
Or I have some PTSD where just the sound of a match, a lighter, throws me into
guess.
some kind of trauma.
I guess. But no, you shouldn't. If you're friends with somebody, especially roommates.
Yeah, dude, just let him bang a doll. Get over it, man. I actually, you know what? I'm thinking now that it was the roommate who was more at fault. He did not think. This guy was so traumatized.
The sock was on the handle.
Right.
Right?
Well, no, I mean, he thought that his roommate would be so unsupportive about it that he freaked out and burned the place down. I think it's the roommate's fault. If the roommate just would have been cool, then he could have been like, "Hey, dude, sorry I was banging that doll. It's kind of weird, but whatever."
Can I tell you a story?
Oh, no. I think.
It's in college in the dorms. For like a good joke, it was an all guys dorm. I used to put socks on people's doors.
Oh, yeah.
And people would be like, because girls weren't allowed in the dorm. And so people were like, what's Joshua doing? I'm like, I think he's masturbating.
I don't know, dude. It's kind of weird.
It's so funny.
I saw him come out. He put it on. He darted his eyes left and right and then closed the door really frantically. I don't know what he's doing in there.
That was a good, because I was trying to see if the people would start talking
And then he asked me if he had a lighter.
Because like, oh, why do we keep finding socks on all our doors? You know what the sock means, right? That's so funny.
Changing subjects, a teenager has landed a spot in the Guinness World Records for having the world's hairiest face. Wow. Latit Patidar, an 18-year-old from India, was found to have 201.72 hairs per square centimeter.
Is this real?
Covering 95% of his face,
Here, I'm gonna
according
pull it up.
to Guinness. Yes, this is real, and he looks exactly like what you would think a werewolf. And this is actually very, very rare, but it has happened.
So?
It has happened 50 times previously.
But it's only on the face.
Yeah, it's really strange. It basically just looks like his hair from his head just continues on down through his face. And I get this. This is unfortunate for this kid. I'm sure it's very, very tough for him to go through life like this. But why do we have to have a Guinness Book of World Record for it?
No, it's
that just
great.
seems like insult.
What's great is to confirm the record, he had to go see a trichologist to get an actual official measurement of his
That's
facial
what I'm saying.
hair.
They actually counted 201.72 hairs per square centimeter to give him the record. And the thing is, we wouldn't know who this kid was if he hadn't sought out the record. So I guess he feels, you know what? Just go with it. Let me see if I can monetize this.
That's
do
amazing.
something. Own a. It is unbelievable, really. Unbelievable.
Can you imagine?
sorry
Can
for
you
this
imagine
guy,
being
man.
friends with that guy and like the sleepovers happen and the mom's like, his hair's getting everywhere. It's like a dog.
Well, it says, like I said, there's been 50 documented cases of the condition worldwide, according to JAMA Dermatology.
And he's sitting there trying to say like he doesn't want to change how he looks. He's
yeah, I was thinking.
and I'm
this
like,
is-
yo, dude, like you're gonna be at one point where you can't work in any service industry because you
Or anything.
you have to put a face net on, and then on top of that, it's like say you try to be romantic with somebody, it's like you got to at least cut it around the lips.
It is kind of yeah. I wonder if he does trim it around the lips. You know, we talked earlier about technology and why we don't ask enough questions about it.
Or,
Don't you think he
know
could
what?
just have some kind of laser removal and just
Well,
have the
no,
hair
he
removed?
likes the way he looks. What if I was interviewing him? I'd be like, hey, man, do you think your face is too small for your hair? Like maybe you're supposed to be a giant. That's where the beard's supposed to be, and you just didn't grow out. It's pretty amazing.
It is
man.
amazing, man. It is amazing.
Because I wonder what I would ask him to do out of curiosity is shave his head.
Do like a reverse.
Well, because I want to know, like, because if you look at it, it really does grow under his eyes, and
Yeah.
then, but if you look at the top of his forehead, there, I don't know if that's part of his hair or if it's part of his brow.
He should do a reverse comb over, shave his head, and then comb his hair
'Cause you
from
know-
his face
well, you know,
up over the top of his head.
Most people's like eyebrows have a different texture than like say their hair or
Sure.
their beard. But if you
Sure.
look at this, you don't know if those are eyebrows.
Yeah, it's all the same length.
Yeah,
It is pretty crazy. And honestly,
it looks pretty cool.
it does. It looks pretty good as far as this stuff goes. It looks clean. It's kind of like light blonde
And
too, which is
what's-
weird.
What's nice about it is you never know how old he was.
No, you can't tell.
You really
there.
can't
You
tell.
gotta tell by the eyes, maybe, that he's a young man.
Now,
but-
hypothetically, if he's born in a country that doesn't allow those burqa women, that you can't
Mm-hmm.
cover your face, how does that work?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a good question. It does say he's from India, but I don't think they cover up in India. No, not usually. Well, some of them they do.
I mean, well, then if they come to Texas and try to go to school, they'll be like, you got to shave that.
It's true. It's
I wonder how fast it grows.
Yeah. Can you imagine a 5 o'clock shadow all over your entire face?
It's like, dude, you like roll in the mud or something?
yeah, you go to put on a sweater and it just snags all over your face.
No, actually, probably what I would do is I get a balloon and like rub it on his face and then like do the static electricity and be like, yo, dude, that'd be great.
Two more stories here. Savannah, Georgia, abcnewsgo.com. Court records say a passenger on a small regional flight to Miami attacked a flight attendant, kicked and punched the seat of the person in front of him, and swallowed rosary beads as the pilots returned to the airport in Savannah. What the hell? The passenger was traveling with his sister who told her brother before the violent outburst to, quote, close her eyes and pray because Satan's disciples have followed them onto the plane.
Ooh, I love
Hence the reason-
when people talk like that.
I
I
know.
always get really excited. I'm
And he
like,
got so nervous he swallowed his rosary beads. Do you think it affects the efficacy of rosary beads if you swallow them, or does it make them even more powerful
well, I would be like, that's just
if
not.
you ingest them?
That's just not like a smart thing to do.
No, it's dumb, Dick.
I'd be like,
It is dumb.
just take one bead.
Yeah, don't have to do the whole thing.
Are rosary beads
God's power
determine
works-
how many beads are on
God's
there?
power works in mysterious ways. Just one bead will do.
No.
Are rosary beads what? Huh?
Does it matter how many beads need to be on a rosary?
You're asking the wrong person. Although this is Lent, maybe I should be looking into that.
Yeah, they have 59 beads. That's the standard.
Dang, this guy swallowed 59
The
beads?
standard one.
Now, much like the diamonds that guy stole last week, I guess you got to
Wow.
wait for those things to pass.
So one large bead for the Father,
Do you
three small beads for the Hail Marys,
Oh, there you go.
and another large bead for Glory Be, and then 5 groups of 10 beads a decade for the Hail Marys with the larger what? Oh, interesting.
Do you think you reuse those beads after, the process has been completed? I don't know. Or do you just kind of go, no, I'm getting a new set?
I don't know, but I think the COVID vaccine is causing all these people to go crazy. I really wanted to say that, but
Okay. I don't know.
as a joke.
Yeah, I was going to say, that was very timely. How very 2020 of you.
Yeah.
Or 2021.
Well,
All right.
Well, you got people flashing people on airplanes.
Yeah. It's greatness. People lighting their girlfriends on fire.
I wonder if there's like a clinical sickness for people who go either be like a certain altitude where you snap. Like your brain just like does.
I mean, I'm sure the oxygen gets so thin at a certain point.
Yeah. Well, because always wonder about people who are written in these stories. Are they allowed back on planes? Because like that woman who flashed and ran around in Houston.
Oh, she has first class
I wonder
tickets now for life.
No, I wonder how that would work. Like 10 years from now, like say a relative dies, and it's like, oh, it's in Washington D.C. or wherever, kind of like a kind of flight, and they're like, yeah, you can't fly. You're banned from flying.
Why? Is my picture up on the wall? No, ma'am. Your breasts are.
I like it.
All right, quick hit here at the end of the show. Dick, do you know who Doc Ellis is?
No, I should though.
You should. I was afraid you might actually know this one because sometimes you claim that you do. On June 12th, 1970,
I've heard the story. Yeah.
Pirates pitcher Doc Ellis did something that, by all rights, should be completely impossible. He went and threw a no-hitter despite being as high as a kite on LSD. Whoa! Facing the Padres at the old San Diego Stadium, Ellis took the mound having dropped acid earlier in the day and blanked the Friars, walking 8 batters, hitting another, and blah, blah, blah. It was his only no-hitter of his career. Wow. And certainly the only MLB pitcher to have known to have pitched under the influence of LSD. Dick, do you think you could pitch on acid?
I mean, it depends if I'm like an expert.
I think I'd get a little bit.
I mean, I can barely do anything sober,
Yes, it's
so I would say probably not, but I would definitely probably have a good time with it.
I think I'd get a little wild with it.
I told
man.
you that one guy dosed me
I'd
one time.
I'd really lose my command. I think if I were on LSD, I'd be trying to paint the corners and just not really making good throws. Yes, you got dosed.
Well,
I think you talked about it last week.
I think my problem would be is paying attention to how many outs.
You just keep-
Because I could see like getting the third out, you're on it, and you're like, all right, let's go to the next one.
or yeah,
And you're
you're
like, wait, where's everyone going?
yeah, or 2, you start walking back to the dugout.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm here to say I could not do it. Although, worth a try.
but yeah, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, Doc.
Boom. All right, Dick. It was a good show, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm glad we got it in. Just
We'll
like
be back
just like every week. I'm glad
next
we get 'em in.
week. Next week, make sure to subscribe to us on podcasts. What podcasts are we on? Because
We are on iHeart, Spotify, Apple, Stitcher. Actually, I don't know if we're on Stitcher. We're on a bunch. Some that I've never even heard of. TuneIn,
and
TunePocket,
Lone Star Community Radio.
Lone Star Community Radio, YouTube. No longer are we on Facebook. We are just doing YouTube. So if you were a Facebook listener or watcher, you'll now be forced to use YouTube, and you'll be fine. You know what? You're going to make it, people. You'll be fine.
Make it. See you guys later.
Next week.